Taking a look now at some of your 67% boards. So for the straight ones, there are all the 10x and the 9x one with a flush draw, 8x straights with a flush draw, and then all of your 6x straights. For your non-paired one, there are the 9x rainbow ones, and the one that has a flush draw plus a 6 in them. For the 8x ones, there are the one that has a flush draw plus either a 6 or a 5. And the 7x ones, there are all the rainbow ones. So again, let's take a look at some sims together. Starting off with the 10 high straight ones. So out of all the 67% board, your 10 high straight ones are gonna be your lowest frequency bets, usually in the mid 30s. And you can see straight away how polar this board is gonna operate. So if we start taking a look again, sort of top to bottom, you can see even some of your nut straights gonna be occasionally trapping, and then some of your weaker straights are gonna be trapping a bit more. This is something that will in general happen on your lower frequency straight boards, and then the higher frequency one, you're mainly gonna be pure betting your straights. And you can also see the same effect with your sets are all gonna be trapping at a reasonable frequency. Again, this mainly happen on the lower frequency straight boards. The higher frequency one, you're gonna be pure betting these type of hands. But something that will hold true for most, if not all, the straight board is that you will be always trapping some of your two pairs. You can see all two pairs here are trapping at 25 or more % of the time, especially bottom two. And you can see sort of you're mainly interested in betting the top pairs with that straight draw, your ace-x kicker top pair. And same goes for sort of the second and third pairs. You're only interested in betting your ace-x ones, and then the rest are almost pure checking unless it has a straight draw with them. And you're going to see the same tail-off effect we talked about before with your over pairs, that you are mainly interested in betting your more vulnerable over pairs, and then as they get better, you tailor off and start checking them a bit more, and then aces is almost a pure trap on this board. You will see this effect on all the different straight boards we look at. The only, I guess, board that's a bit different are 4 and 5 high straights, where aces will bet a bit more than pocket kings, but in general this effect will always happen. And sort of taking a look at sort of more bluffing region, again, you're gonna be mainly betting your good open-enders, your overcard gut shots, undercard open-enders. Of course, all your flush draws are still betting at a reasonable frequency. And then you're gonna have some of your more backdoor type of hands, like a low king high with backdoor flush draw, or one of your weakest ace highs with a backdoor flush draw. And a little bit of your very low card backdoor flush draw hands are gonna be betting a bit. And sort of for the pure checks, you're mainly going to be looking at some of your best high card hands, your best ace high cards, for example, or your absolute weakest real backdoor potential type hands going to be pure checking. So yes, the 10 highs, let's move on to some of the 9 high straights. So now the frequency is going to start increasing a bit as we go below the 10 high ones, and you will already see the effect of the frequency increasing. You can, for example, see now that you're almost pure betting your sets, only top sets checks a little bit, never trapping a straight. Your two pairs are all going to be betting at a bit higher frequency, but like I said, you will in general always be interested in checking some of them on all your straight boards. And then very similar tailor effect with your over pairs. Now you're betting aces a bit more on this board because it's a bit higher frequency board. But in general, these lower straight boards can operate similar in the effect of how you're constructing your range. The only thing that tends to shift is if it's a bit high frequency board, you're a bit more interested, for example, in betting some of your second pairs and your better bottom pairs. And also on the lower straight boards, we will be looking to bet our top pairs a bit higher frequency, both because it's a high frequency board, but also since as you get a lower and lower straight board, your top pairs are a bit more vulnerable, more bad turns, so we're also going to be looking to betting them at a high frequency. And sort of the same thing again of some of your pure checks are some of your best high card hands, or some of your very poor medium to very low showdown with no backdoor potential. So for example, if we go move on to some of the 8 high straight ones, these will operate very similar to the 9 high ones, where it's more medium frequency. We are betting a bit more of our second and bottom pairs. We are not really trapping our sets that much, if at all, and we are not really trapping our straights, and always, again, checking some of our two pairs. But you can see it operates very similar to the 9 high one in terms of how we're constructing our betting range. The final for the straight boards, look at some of the 6 high ones. These will have a slightly different effect of that. Since it's such a low board, we have a bigger disconnect now with more of our medium to high card part of our range. So now a lot of these hands we start pure checking because we have much poor backdoor potential with these type of hands on, say, a 9 high board where queen 10 you have a backdoor straight potential, and now you don't. But overall, you will see very similar things. You see, for example, better top pairs betting at a high frequency, or when that's a straight draw, you will again see some of our second and third pairs betting for value and protection. You will see the same tailor off effect for your overpairs. Now we're checking even a bit more of kings. Yeah, I guess the biggest shift on the 6 high straight ones are going to be the disconnect now with the medium to high part of our range are going to be more looking to pure check in general. So now we're done with some of the straight boards. Let's look at some of the unpaired boards, starting with some of the 9 high ones, starting out one with a flush draw and a 6 in them. So in general, these type of boards will be sort of medium frequency, 50-ish, plus minus 5%. And in general, you will see a similar effect that I talked about on some of the lower straight boards, where we are a bit more interested in betting our second pairs and also some of our bottom pairs on this type of board, because it's a low board. We need a bit more protection with those type of holdings. You will see this hold true for these type of boards as well. And this is also not only because they're a bit more vulnerable, it's also because we need to create some part of our range that's going to bet flop, check back turn, and call a river probe. So you are almost never entirely betting polar when you see betting flop. That mainly tends to happen on the overbet boards, but then still on the overbet boards you will see when we get there that you're still betting some, like your weaker top pairs, for example, that will be designed to go check and call a river probe. But yeah, you will still see this effect on these type of boards. And in general, on the bigger bet unpaired boards, we are not really gonna be that interested in ever doing any sort of very strong trapping. You are pure betting sets. You are gonna be pure betting all the 2 pairs almost always. And this is a very low frequency board. And then sort of linearly go up as you get a better top pair, you'll bet them more. Same will happen for your second and third pairs. You're mainly gonna be betting your best second and third pair, and then sort of gradually drop your frequency of betting them. Then a bit bigger shift for your bottom pairs. The only sort of trap you will ever do on this type of boards is going to be pocket aces. And I feel like for a lot of people this just will be a fairly natural trap. You have aces, need to check it sometimes basically. And then more for the bluffing region, you're going to be betting open-enders, very high frequency, basically pure betting on this board. Your gut shots without backdoor going to do a bit of checking, but with backdoor flush draw, you're going to be pure betting them. And then again, you're going to shift once you get past sort of the natural bluffs. You're going to be shifting a bit more to the good backdoor type of hands. Backdoor straight, backdoor flush draw hands, going to be betting at a higher frequency than the board. And then some of your pure checks again are going to be some of your sort of weakest, trashy hands with no backdoor potential. And again, some of your higher card hands are going to be high frequency checks in general, but you can still see we are betting them at a healthy frequency. This is both to create so you can have some more stronger hands on, say, an ace-x turn, or a king or queen jack turn, and also so you have some hands that could potentially call a river probe. If we take a look at the 9x rainbow, you will see a very similar frequency in this type of board. If the middle card was a lower end rainbow, the frequency would go up a bit, but since the middle card is an 8, the frequency will still stay in the 50% region. But you will see very similar effects to the other 9 high board. You will see strong amount of betting, sort of the second pair, third pair region, and again you will not really see that many traps for your very strongest hands. Your sets of 2 pairs are almost pure betting. On this board you are checking a bit of your top and bottom 2 pair, and again you're going to be checking a little bit of aces on this board. In general, it's going to hold true. And again, you're going to see open-enders, very high frequency, pure betting with backdoor. Same for your gut shots. And again, sort of the good backdoor straight draw or flush draw hands on this type of board will be high frequency bet, higher frequency than the board. And then again, your pure checks going to be sort of medium to high showdown hands with poor backdoor potential, or some of your absolute weakest no backdoor type of hand, low equity type of hands, gonna be pure checking. So that's a bit of the 9 high ones. If you move on to some of the 8x ones, so this is gonna one with the 5 or 6 with flush draw. And again, this board will operate very similar to the 9 high ones, which is nice. You're gonna see same thing of if you ever check a 2 pair, it's top and bottom. Otherwise, you're pure betting that in sets. You are checking a bit of aces, and even on this board, you are gonna start checking a bit of kings. Still a strong amount of betting. You can even see a bit higher frequency with your second pairs on this board because it's a lower second pair card, so you are a bit more protection bet oriented with this type of second pairs. And again, strong betting of your top pairs and some of your stronger bottom pairs. And same thing again, open ender is going to be pure bet or very high frequency bet. Your gut shots with backdoor, pure betting, and without that, a high frequency bet. And also, again, the higher frequency no draw type of hands are the stronger backdoor type of hands. And again, sort of your medium to high showdown type of hands are high frequency checks or pure checking. And also, again, some of your weakest no backdoor type of hands with low cards are going to be pure checking. And then if we take a look at here's the one with the 6. And you will see it's basically going to operate exactly the same. I don't have to repeat what I said, but yeah, it's going to basically operate the exact same way as the other 8 high one. And then finally going to look at some of our 7 high rainbow. Again, because it's a rainbow, we get to bet a bit higher frequency. And also since it's a bit of a lower board, we are going to be betting a bit higher frequency as well because we have more vulnerable hands. Top pairs a bit more vulnerable on this type of board. You can see, for example, most top pairs are high frequency pure bet. Most of your better second pairs to medium second pairs are almost pure betting. And even your bottom pairs are betting at a very high frequency in this type of board. And you can see also sort of, since it's a high frequency board, how it shifts for some of our traps. Now aces is almost a pure bet. We are almost never checking a set, not checking top and bottom anymore. And in general, all sort of the good backdoor type of hands are gonna be high frequency bet, and since it's a high frequency board, we're betting them at an even higher frequency now. And again, you pure checks your medium high cards, hands with poor backdoor, gonna be your pure checks on this type of board. And let's quickly look at the other 7 high rainbow. So now, what I talked about earlier for the other board where the middle card is a bit higher, now we have to drop our frequency a bit. But you can still see the effect, even though it's similar frequency to some other boards, how we are still increasing our frequency of our top pairs and our second pairs and even some of our bottom pairs because it's a lower board. So now we need to shift that and bet them a bit more, and even sort of the traps like aces are still betting at reasonable frequency and a little bit of king checking. And now when the frequency drops, you can see now top and bottom getting in there for a little bit of checking. But overall, it will function very similar to the other 7 high one. And in general, you can sort of bunch a lot of these unpaired boards together, how to approach them and how to play them. I think the more important thing is sort of the takeaways of what will make the c-bet frequency go up a bit. Is it a lower board, and I'm going to be a bit more protection oriented with both top pairs, second pairs, and third pairs. And also, like, if it's a bit of a low frequency board, now I need to start trapping some top and bottom. And something like aces will trap a lot more. And if it's a high frequency, we don't really check top and bottom. And pocket aces is a high frequency bet. And then also just adjusting your better backdoor hands to betting them a bit higher frequency and a bit lower frequency. So that's in general how I would approach the unpaired section of the 67% boards. So in the next video, we're going to look at the 82% pot boards.